Welcome back to another episode of Not As Debatable. I am your host, Sidney Smith. I am here with my co-host and my brother over there, Mr. Deon Curry. What's good, Deon?
Yo, 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 what it do? Happy Monday to the crew.
Happy Wednesday to the crew. Here
That's
you
what I
go
would
again.
normally be saying.
Yes,
That's
it
what I
is. Yes,
normally
it
would be
is.
saying.
What's good to everybody? No matter how you are watching us, whether it be on Facebook Live, on the many outlets we have there, or on YouTube, thank you very much for jumping in here with us. We appreciate you. If you are one of our growing listeners on podcast, thank you guys for tuning in and checking us out again. We want to hear from everybody today via the chat. So, guys, bring it in. I see people coming in with it now. Happy Trump Indictment Day. I see one person says. Mary says, hi, guys. We got another one of our master debaters. And, hey, yo, what's up, guys? Finally get to watch a show, LOL. I'm guessing that's Victoria, but I'm not sure because I can't see the name. Melee is in with us. Larry Skiggin is in with us saying, hi, guys.
No, that is our boy Keith.
Oh, Keith, what's good, Keith, man? Thanks for coming back. Appreciate you.
Good to see you, Keith.
Again, to the folks who are listening to us on podcast, thank you guys very much. The numbers are coming up on the podcast listens. The numbers are coming up slowly but surely on the YouTube. With your help, by spreading the word, we'll get up there even further. So go ahead and click that share button right now if you're watching us. If you're listening via podcast, if you're an active listener, and that means someone who enjoys listening to us at least a couple times a month, go ahead and share, man. Just pass your favorite episode on to someone so they can jump in, and same thing on YouTube. All right. Want to thank you guys very much for getting in here. And thank you to, special thanks to our Patreon folks who help us keep the lights on. Speaking of which, I need to step out real quick so I can turn on one of these motherfucking lights that y'all helped me pay for. Hang on one second.
This is so professional. While he's turning the lights on, I just want to say we appreciate each and every one of y'all listening, being a part of the show. You know what would really help the show if you guys went and left a review. If you listen to it on the podcast apps, that would be a tremendous help. It costs you nothing. Just leave a quick review. It don't even got to be long. Hit that 5 stars. Say you like the
Okay.
show, what you don't like about the show, whatever. But any review that you leave would be helpful for us.
Especially if you're on Apple, for people out there who don't do podcasts, Apple really does push their podcast up further based off of ratings and reviews. So if you're a podcast listener, please go ahead and leave us one there. And check out the Patreon. If you want to become a Patreon member, go to patreon.com, Sidney Smith. I'm sorry, patreon.com/ Sidney Smith Creative. You can become a patron of the show. And again, we would appreciate it. We got different rewards there. We got mugs and T-shirts and stickers. If you don't care about any of that, then you can just become a Patreon member and support the show for as little as $1. So if you don't, that's cool too. Just keep watching and sharing. All right. With all that said, I am ready for tonight. Full disclosure, we didn't do it Monday because yours truly was tired as fuck. All right, had some stuff going on. I was tired, so we just didn't do it. And said we're gonna come back and do it Wednesday. So I'm just chomping at the bit to get to it. I know Deon is, but before we get there, Deon, what's good, man? What's going on, bro? How you doing?
I'm good. Like you said, I've been chomping at the bit. I thought today was Monday. That's how excited I am for the show. I called you on Sunday.
Oh, so you
It
thought
was
Sunday
like
was Monday, motherfucker?
I was so ready to do the show. I've been waiting for this show for 5 days, 4 or 5 days now. So yeah, it is going to be a good one. Everything going decent in my life. No problems, no issues. So I'm just excited to be here, man. Ready to do it.
Hey, quick before we jump in, I want to thank my cast of my next upcoming film, Soul Betrayal. We started shooting that on Sunday. One of the best first days of shooting that I've ever had. It was amazing the way the actors and the crew showed up, ready to go, and just knocked it out. I can't wait for the completion of this pilot so I can move on to the next phase of it. But so far, so good, and I wanted to shout out those guys for that. Someone is saying audio. Are they having an issue with audio? All I'm seeing is audio with question mark. Are you having an issue?
That that was Michelle Martin. Um, Let us know, Michelle, what the audio issue is.
Yeah, let us know what's going on. All right. So, with all that said, let's go ahead and jump into our first topic, which I think we all know what it's going to be. It's going to be the orange face dude with the hair that we're not quite sure how much there is because he swirls it on top, and he was too afraid to go to a couple of functions when he was the president because thought the wind and the rain would mess up his hair. And I'm pretty sure if he stood in the rain, he would just turn into like a melted candy corn. So I'm sure that had a lot to play with it too. That dude who I am talking about, Trump, has been indicted. I have mixed feelings on him being indicted, which I will get into. But we want to hear from you, our master debaters. Again, I see you guys, Larry, Alan, Melee, I'm sorry, I said Alan already. Who am I missing? Michelle Martin, if she can hear us. Keith, and so on and so forth. We want to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts on it? There's no bad opinion. That's why it's called Not As Debatable. Let's talk about it. But before we get to you guys, let's go to my brother, my co-host, my dude, my guy, the second funniest person I know on the planet, Deon Curry. Yes, I'm first. Deon Curry. Deon, I know you got something you have to spit out about Trump being indicted. What's up, bro?
Finally. Made me quote The Rock here. Finally. No, it's about goddamn
I
time
thought
that
you was
they
gonna go all the way with it.
finally Trump has been. No, I think this is good for us as a country as far as doing something to hold people in power accountable. Do I think he's going to jail? No, I do not. But this simple step of indicting him and going through the process and looking at all the evidence so that we can finally show people that he's not this brilliant Jesus savior that he's been painted to be for all these years. Like everybody who's ever done business with him doesn't speak highly of him. They always get burned in the end. It doesn't matter if it's Michael Cohen or the small contractors, the people at his casino, the Trump hotels, um, the airline, the steaks, the vodka, whatever it is that he himself is in charge of, he finds a way to ruin because he's not brilliant. He surrounds himself with people who say yes to everything that he wants to do and never challenge him. And then when shit hits the fan, he finds a way to get them burned and somehow comes scot free. Well, he's finally being charged with 34 counts of uh, what was it, financial impropriety. One of the things I heard that was said, but I don't think it's going to stick to him. But at the same time, I'm glad we're at least he's going to trial for it.
Hey guys, remember, keep those comments coming. Click those emoticons if you agree, disagree with anything that's said by us or by your fellow master debaters as well. Look, I did not think we would get to this day. And the reason I didn't because I thought the powers that be would never allow it to happen. But I do believe that you probably got to a certain point with Trump, with so many different things coming from so many different states, so many different DAs looking to prosecute this man, that you probably were not going to be able to avoid it, especially out of the state of New York, because he thumbed his nose at them so much. So I was shocked and surprised that we've ever seen this happen. Personally, because I dislike the man so much, I'm happy to see it. But as an American citizen, as a person who loves this country, part of me is a little bothered by it to have one of our presidents actually be indicted by the court of law for the whole world to see it. It ranks just below for me having January 6th happen, where you had all those people trying to break into the Capitol and harm Nancy Pelosi, uh, 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 Mike Pence, and whoever else they could probably get their hands on. So again, that is always a concern of mine, what this country looks like to the rest of the world at certain occasions. Uh, while I do not share the opinion of my man, what's his name, Vance Jones on CNN, where he's not celebrating it, and he said he looked more like this is more like a granddad having a bad day. Not quite sure how he drew that comparison. I still have mixed emotions about it. I see some people out there saying the audio is great. Some people saying the audio. I only see one person say it's lagging, and I see some people on Facebook, some people on YouTube. But overall, Michelle, let us know. I haven't seen Michelle come through and say that there was any issue yet.
To
Go ahead.
me, what we look like to the rest of the world should be what we look like to each other. And the simple fact is we are what we look like because that's who we are. We look like this because we allowed this guy to do what he did, and the the chickens are coming home to roost, and he's going to have to deal with the consequences. It should have never gotten this far. I agree with you. He should have never ran for president. If Obama didn't have that little fancy dinner where he was cracking jokes, we wouldn't be in this predicament as we speak. We probably would have had Hillary as the president. She'd have beat whatever Republican they put out to run against her, and things would be vastly different, or mildly different, or not different at all.
Trump is a a symptom of a larger problem in this country, and we're seeing it again. And I want to know what you think about this. I want to know what you guys as well, the Master Debaters. I keep throwing it to you guys because we want to hear from you. Uh, Someone did hear Facebook user said that's not what Marjorie Taylor Greene says. LOL. She says it's like Nelson Mandela and Jesus of this age. And I saw that quote as well. And this woman with those little short arms just manages to pull shit out of the sky or out of her ass and just throw it up for anyone to hear. But she also is a symptom of what's going on in this country and the political system. I was talking with a friend today. We were having the same discussion we had before. Who is going to run in 2024? There is not a viable candidate on either side in the next 2 years. There wasn't a viable candidate 2 years ago. There weren't viable candidates 6 years ago. We have a serious problem in this country because we lack real leadership. A combination of things. One, we've done nothing but vote old people into every office that you can imagine, especially on the national level, over and over and over again, to where they're getting ready to be aged all the way out because of death. And there's no one younger outside of Barack Obama. You know, he had his moment in the sun. There's no one younger coming up that pipeline that anyone can attach themselves to and say, I can get behind this person. We have a serious problem in this country when it comes to leadership and who's going to be running this country for the next 10 to 15 years. And that's right around the corner. Right around the corner. I'm not even talking about 50 years from now. I'm talking about tomorrow, pretty much.
Well, if you think about it, you call them symptoms. I don't think they're symptoms. I think the reality is they are who we are. They got put in because they reflect the people who think like they do. To me, Obama was the anomaly. He was able to pull people on both sides who were like, you know what, I want to give this man a chance. And then you fast forward 8 years, and some people are like, yeah, I didn't care for that. I'm going to go back to what I know. And then other people are like, we can never have that again. And I'm going to make sure that never happens again by going to the extreme of what Trump is. So Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, they are in essence TikTok stars in office. They have no leadership qualities. They're not smart people, but they generate revenue through the dumb shit they say and do. So basically, they're freaking influencers in Congress. Like, and to me, that is where we have failed. These people should not have been elected. Point blank. Period. I don't know who decided not to run against them in their own Republican districts, but the fact that they were able to win their their primaries and be on the ticket to be voted in, that to me is the real symptom. I mean, you're never going to get rid of those type of people, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, so on and so forth. Those crazies are always going to be out there. But the fact that people are like, you know what, because I hate the person on the other side so much, I'm willing to light the bridge on fire before I walk across it, just makes no sense to me.
Just to get to a couple comments, someone says audio's kind of low. I turned it up a little bit, so let me know. I believe this is
That was
Michelle.
Keith.
Okay, Keith. So I turned it up. I see someone says audio is fine now. Someone says let's just take a break. LOL. Run the country ourselves. No, I saw January 6th. No, I don't want anyone out there running this country themselves. Maybe AOC could run. Who in the hell said that? Deon, can you look at the name and tell me who said that? I might.
I do not see that comment.
Oh, okay. It's right.
So
It's right above Larry Skiggins. Good start, but the indictment is the least of his problems. Georgia's up next, and then the DOJ. It's right below that. Someone says maybe AO. Tell me what your name is so I can think about banning you from this show. How dare you say anything about AC running in this
yeah,
country? Do you see it?
no, I
All
don't
right.
see it. But
Look,
I
I'm sorry.
that
Sorry.
no, that was Keith.
Oh,
That was Keith.
Keith,
I see it now.
Keith, look, this is what you get, Keith. What you get for that comment, man? Look, I am a huge, huge opponent to AOC. That says don't attack me, laugh my ass off. I'm a huge opponent, not proponent, opponent of AOC and that whole crew. I'm a huge opponent of that wannabe Barack Obama, Cory Booker. This is what I'm talking about. You don't have anyone. Nancy Pelosi is still in office. Yet she has, obviously she still has power. I'm not gonna say this woman doesn't have any power. She's been around forever. She was just the leader of the damn party for the last million years. But she's trying to move Jeffries. She's trying to move some other folks. But there is no one on either side, and that is the problem. As much as the Democrats want to talk a lot of shit about the Republicans, and they deserve it, the Republicans need to and do fire back. There is no one. I am seriously worried about this. And the fact that we don't have anyone important enough who can stand up and speak to the people about what's happening with Donald Trump is upsetting to me. And to think, look, and I'm going to tell you something else about Donald Trump. Speaking as someone who's been in a courtroom before, you can have all the courage that you have in your soul. When you step into a courtroom and you're behind the defendant table, all of that shit goes away. So what, I don't know what the fuck Van Jones was talking about. No, Trump looked like every other motherfucker that sits behind that defense table who you looking at that door and making sure you're only a few feet away from it, but you're still not quite sure if you're going to go out the same way you came in. That's what Donald Trump looks like. I enjoyed that, actually, that part of it. But he had it coming. And I agree with Larry as well to a certain point. Georgia's around the corner, but the DOJ has fallen short so much when it comes to pushing the rule of law onto Donald Trump. They have dragged their feet. And personally, I'm not a conspiracist, but I think a lot of it probably has to do with old Hunter Biden and some of his situations. I think there's some backdoor deals that have been made between the Biden camp and the Trump camp when it comes to what the DOJ is going to do and not do. Dion?
Well, to me, I think the bigger issue is them politicizing the process. That's the biggest argument I've heard is, oh, we don't want to politicize. We don't want to get in the process of jailing our political opponents. And I'm like, look, I don't care if you're a Republican, a Democrat, an independent, a libertarian, a Green Party, Whig Party. I don't give a damn. No party,
That
half
party.
party, some party. If you break the law,
Bachelor
I want
party.
you to face the
Pajama jam
consequences
party.
of it. Everybody who's done something illegal and it's of consequence should go to jail. If there is a victim in the crime, you need to be held accountable for it. And what Donald Trump has consistently done he's defrauded the country. When he took all that stuff to Mar-a-Lago and didn't want to give it back when they were like, hey, you're not supposed to have that. That's a crime. He should be
And
held
that's the
accountable
bigger
for that.
issue. They should have been all over that early and often. And I don't know what the dragging of the feet is. That's a bigger issue than the New York shit. I'm sorry, go ahead.
And if they want to go and lock up Hunter Biden, then knock your socks off. I don't give a shit about Hunter Biden. If he did something wrong with the Ukraine thing, then hold him accountable too. I have zero problems with both of them sharing a cell where they can argue about this is your fault. This is your fault. If you hadn't said nothing, I wouldn't have said nothing. They can argue that in jail together all they want to. I have no problems with both of them going in jail. I really don't. To me, what it boils down to is we know there is something fishy with this man. You just listen to him talk when he does interviews with Sean Hannity or Laura Ingraham, and they're like, man, maybe we should talk about something else. And he starts trying to press on the issue, and it's like, yo, they're trying to help you, and you can't stop yourself from incriminating yourself. He's not a genius. He's not smart. He's a criminal, and he can't help himself. And the fact that he was the leader of the free world and he was willing and able to find a way to hide all this crap, it's just, to me, that's the biggest issue, is the fact that we need to be like, you know what, if he's the first guy that we say, you know what, after him there can be no more, he's, he's the person we make an example out of, I don't have a problem with that whatsoever.
And that's why I say he is a, and I know we want to label it differently, but that's why I say he is a serious symptom of a serious problem that we have in this country when it comes to who's going to run this country, who our candidates are, what do they stand on. What's my man who is still in Congress right now, though he told every lie under the sun to the people of that New York district.
George Santos, or
yes, had his
Anthony
nerve,
DeValder, or whatever the fuck his name is.
had his nerve to be up in New York the other day. Thought he and Marjorie Taylor Greene were going to stand there, I guess, until they got pushed out. But there is no shame. It used to be once upon a time people had shame. They have none. And I was talking with my friend today, and he was like, I can't believe that he got in, similar to what you said, and the GOP allowed this to happen. I said their fatal flaw was they thought they were going to be able to control this man. They had no idea who the fuck they were dealing with. You're dealing with a man who has no shame. And when you fuck with somebody who has no shame, there's no controlling them. None. Because I'll say whatever, I'll do whatever, and I will look at you and smile like, what's the problem? So they had no idea what they're getting themselves into.
I think it's funny that, people are always like, well, what about Hillary? What about Hillary? I'm like, y'all can lock them up together. If you got evidence that she broke the law, then by all means bring it to bear, and whatever trumped up charges that we have on Trump and whatever trumped up charges we have on Hillary, if they both go to court and they beat the case, fine. You won't catch me talking about it anymore. I'll be like, oh, they beat it. For whatever reason, they beat it. They got away with it. But if the evidence comes out that, he broke the law, she broke the law, I have zero problems with either one of them going to jail. I think the fact that just because you ran for president, became president, if you do something illegal, you're supposed to be held accountable. I don't care if you're the top guy in the company or the fucking janitor. If you're stealing, if you're robbing folk, if you're murdering people, I don't care what your position is. You need to go to jail. Point blank, period. And that's what, to me, what this whole situation should be about, is the fact that we've got evidence that he broke the law. We're going to prove it in court. And at the end of the day, it don't matter if he's a Republican, a Democrat, a president, or a janitor. He broke the law and he should be held accountable for it.
Go to some comments. Chelsea is going to hit the wall first tonight, folks. Don't forget, last person on the wall, you gain a point. Person with the most points, there will be no ties. We had a tie last month. There will be no ties. Person with the most points will get a prize at the end of the month. Chelsea says, remember when Trump made full-page ads about the Central Park Five? Yes, I do. About their execution? Yes, I do. One of the five, Yusuf Salam, made an ad about Trump, which is outstanding. I did not know that, Chelsea. I love little facts that I did not know. So, boom, Chelsea has made it to the wall first. Applause, Chelsea. Well done, Chelsea. Well done. All right, let's see if anybody can knock her off. I do remember that, and
he never apologized.
He never does. He never does. He never will. He was taught that by his father, I believe, and I believe whoever, I can't remember what his name was. Was it Roger Stone? It was whoever. I thought there was a guy before Roger Stone who was behind him when he was younger, who was kind of his mentor. But I know he learned that from his father. Never apologized. Never apologized. But Chelsea, great little fact. I did not know that. They say when I was growing up, because when you grow up playing ball or running track or whatever, and Deon would know this, anybody out there who was an athlete when you were growing up, you talk shit, especially you have some rivals. It's trash talk. And one of the things that you're taught, though, is if you're going to be out there dissing it, you got to be able to take it. So go ahead and dance. I used to have a coach. You go ahead and dance, but remember you was dancing when the fucking music stops. And so Donald Trump is one of those people who never was taught that lesson, because he's always out here pointing the finger. He's always out here high-stepping on people constantly. Look what you did. Whether he has proof or not. Talking about the Central Park Five here at the moment. But when the time comes for them to turn it on you and start high stepping on you, he can't take it. But I love to see it. Love that Yusuf did that to him.
He always passes the blame to someone else. It's never his fault. It's never his responsibility for the fucked up thing that he's in charge of going to shit. It's always the Democrats are doing this. It's a witch hunt. It's a hoax. It's a blah 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 blah. It's like, no, you took the meeting. It wasn't what you thought it was, and so you didn't get anything out of it. You still weren't supposed to take the meeting. So why are you blaming other people when it was you who decided to do the thing that was improper? If you look at every time he makes an excuse for why it's not his fault. It's someone else did this. Well, I was told this, or the fake news, they're making it up. And it's like, well, if they're making it up, why don't you testify under oath?
Yeah, great point.
And then it's complete silence. He's never he stops everybody from being able to testify on his behalf, whether or not the bullshit he spewed is true or not. And so at the end of the day, this is what I don't understand about the cult of Trump. It's like, if you took out Trump's name and you just said, Guy A did this, 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 and this, do you think that he should face consequences for this? They would be like, yes. But then the second you put Trump's name in it, they're like, oh, nope, it's a witch hunt. He didn't do it. This is political bullshit. The Democrats, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, for whatever reason, people have fell in love with this man. And it's not even a good product. It would be different, right, if he had charisma and he said things that were clever. He's only made me laugh one time, and that's when that the first debate that he had with Hillary, and he's like, because you'd be in jail. It was the greatest diss on a on a debate stage I've ever seen. And I was like, wow, that was pretty good, because she had no clapback for it whatsoever. But at the same time, you just listen to the man speak. You don't even You can give him any topic and he will find a way to turn it into remedial garbage about nothing.
it's, it's, it's my favorite thing. My only favorite thing about watching him speak is waiting to try to figure out what moments he goes from the teleprompter. Because when he strays from the teleprompter, it is comedy. Comedy. It is outstanding. The only thing better is trying to see how many black people they were able to scrape up to sit behind him wearing the shirt or holding the side. Deon, would you mind reading? Because I want to give credit to the person who asked about Kamala here. It's right beneath Chelsea's comment. Do you see that one at all about Kamala?
No, I'm in the group and I do believe that is posted on your page.
All right.
But
This
I
one
will
says,
try
do
and
you
find
think
it.
Kamala would run in 2024? And how does that work? If Joe Biden decides, if old Shuffle Feet decides he's going to run, no, there's no way Kamala runs. I don't think you've ever seen that. The only time you will see that actually is if Trump runs again and he's going to do it without Mike Pence. But normally that ticket sticks together if for no other reason just to keep that cohesiveness and to keep the party together. I don't know if I would like Kamala any better in that position, to be honest with you. But no, 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 no. I don't know if I like it. But Deon, what's your thoughts about Kamala running?
She won't run because unless Joe gives her express permission, she won't run. I don't think she would be a great president, but at the same time, out of all the people on the Democratic side, I think she would be the front runner if Joe Biden decided not to run again. Um, I can't think of anybody who would be able to beat her. Elizabeth Warren's took a step back. Bernie Sanders is basically not viable at all. We've already seen him get screwed. Cory Booker, he wouldn't beat her in a overall race
A
just because
snowball
of her
fight.
being vice president. So I can't really think of anybody. But again, I don't see Joe Biden stepping aside and letting her kind of take the mantle. I just don't see that happening. But truth be told, Joe Biden didn't want her as vice president, but he didn't have a choice.
He needed her. He needed her. Kind of like Barack needed Joe. Because I don't believe Barack wanted Joe on the ticket either. Alan Lawson says, I felt that they need to. I'm sorry. I feel that they need to change the way politics is done, and AOC could run and possibly could win. Alan, I'm sure there's some things that need to be changed within our political system. Absolutely. I'm not against that, depending on what those things are. But no way in hell, as I sit here today, would you get me to agree that AOC could win. Absolutely. First of all, I don't want to run it for anything. I don't really know what she stands for other
Is
than,
she old enough to run? Is she 35?
I don't know. She's old enough to serve drinks at the bar. I know that. So I don't want her running. I don't know what she really stands for, other than the usual generic liberal things that they try to push all the time, every single year in Congress. But absolutely not. You want to see people mobilize to keep someone out of office? You let AOC get on the ticket. You will
Yeah,
see
she's 33. She's not old enough to run.
you will see. But I do believe she. But Alan, I do believe she thinks she's going to run because I think she got engaged or married recently, like within the last year. So I think she's planning on trying to throw her hat in there. But no, I will. You best believe I might put my Republican hat back on if AOC. I might run if AOC decides to run, Alan. I might run. Facebook user says, I haven't even registered to vote, to be honest. Since I moved to South Carolina, my vote doesn't matter since this state is pro-Trump and pro-Republican. I think there's someone on the show who
That's
believes
Keith.
similar to you, Keith. Deon?
Well, Indiana is blood red, and there's literally, it doesn't matter if every Democrat in this state voted for the person who's the Democratic nominee. They're just simply more Republicans here. So the math wise, it doesn't matter. So yeah, Wisconsin had a big thing today where they got the liberal Supreme Court judge, and that kind of
That's who won?
yeah
All right, excellent.
the I
Excellent.
don't know how to say her last name. It's one of those
Go ahead and
Polish
chop it up. What those
with
Polish?
Z's. I don't know I don't know how to say it at
You
all.
did say Polish, right?
It might be Polish or Norwegian or Swedish. I don't know. I don't know the origin of her name. I know it's very difficult for a nigga like me to pronounce, and so I'm not even going to try and butcher it. It starts with a W and ends with a Z or a
No, wait a
K or
minute.
a
No, wait a minute.
X or something.
You don't get to do that. Every week I read these comments and I don't even know what they even wrote. And if I miss one word or chop it up, you start laughing and talking shit as if I was the illiterate kid in the class trying to stand up and read in front of the class, and you the jackass in the back laughing at me. And here you go, dodging the name.
Let me see if I can find what.
Yeah, you find that
I'm
name.
gonna go find it and I'm gonna try to say it properly.
And because everybody over here knows how I get bullied. Y'all know how Dion bullies me on this show every single week. Every week. All right.
Janet
Oh, there we go.
Pro Janet Protasiewicz.
Close enough. Close enough. And you know what? I ain't. No, you're gonna spell it, motherfucker. No, no.
Protasiewicz.
And you know what?
I don't know how to say that shit.
I'm not gonna laugh at you, the way you laugh at me. But Jordan will.
That's fair.
All right. All right, let's see here. Alan says, we are law and order. We are not above the law, nor should the president be above the law. Facebook user here says, I agree that they missed the mark on what Trump was charged with. I don't think that is a coincidence that there are documents removed and now we're facing a global financial crisis. I think he could potentially be our version of a Trojan horse.
That was Roxy.
Roxy, girl, but you just show up without announcing yourself. Roxy in the house. Sorry, Chelsea. Roxy's knocked your ass off the wall. So I agree with you. And I keep saying, and my biggest, I have a lot of big problems with Trump. But when it comes to those documents, Roxy, I am with you. I have thought this man was a agent of Russia and any other country that would be the highest bidder for quite a few years. And I don't think you pack up a bunch of documents and walk out with them without having that on your mind, if you're that man. Then the report comes out yesterday. I think it might have been in the Wall Street Journal possibly, but the report comes out yesterday that When the order came in for him to turn those documents back in, he went straight to the documents and started fingering through them, reading them, and trying to figure out what he wanted to keep. So I am with you 100%, Roxy. I would bet almost anything that if he has not sold some of that information already, that he is lingering some of that out there or will potentially to say, y'all make this shit go away because I got shit in a fucking storage closet somewhere that you don't want other people to have in their hands. Am I far-fetched in thinking that, Deon? What do you think? And what do you think
Oh
about
no,
Roxy's statement?
I agree with her, and I agree with you. The fact that the moment he he knows what he did. This is what I need people to understand. He is well aware when he walked in that courtroom. They had on him. He's not like, oh, this is a winch hut, blah 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 blah. This didn't happen. He knows exactly what happened between he and Stormy Daniels. He knows exactly why Michael Cohen paid her. He knows exactly how much Michael Cohen paid her because he had to reimburse him for it. So this whole idea that he doesn't know or he was unaware that he wasn't allowed to take that stuff or that just because he thinks it's declassified in his mind that all of a sudden it's declassified, like he knows better. There are people in the White House who don't have a political affiliation, who just want to do their job. And their job is to tell him, hey, man, there's a process for this. And you didn't do that. And so therefore you are liable for it. At the end of the day, for him to just come out and say, well, if I say it's declassified, it's declassified, and I could take it to my crib and it doesn't need to be secured. And that's acceptable to everybody in his camp and all his supporters. Now let's flip the script. If Hillary did that, would you still be saying the same thing? No, you would not. And I wouldn't be saying it either. If Joe Biden takes shit that don't belong to him and he don't want to give it back for whatever reason to profit off of it, or the fact that he just didn't want them to have it, it would be wrong. And so at the end of the day, he knew what he was doing was inappropriate. And the reason he did it, I believe, was to cover his ass on some of the other things that he's done. That perfect phone call to Georgia, he ain't getting out of that because it's on record. And once you got the recording, it's pretty much a done deal. Once they present the evidence to that grand jury, they ain't gonna have no choice but to indict his ass.
Yeah, and then from there is going to be what type of deal can be cut, exactly what they're going to do with him. I'm with you. I don't think this dude, I don't think the old candy corn dude sees the inside of a jail cell. They didn't even. My biggest issue, if I had one, was that there was not a photo taken of him, a booking photo. There were no fingerprints taken. If you're going to indict him and bring him in, do the whole shebang. If I get arrested today for whatever reason, God forbid, I go in, my photos taken, fingerprints are going to do the whole deal. Now, what you've allowed this man to do is go ahead and pretend like he had a booking photo anyway, put it on t-shirts and been selling it for $46 or $47. And people have been buying them. So you want to play this game? You want to say you have a booking photo? Let's make it possible. I'm going to give you what you're looking for until you're sick. That bothered me out of anything that happened when it came to bringing them in, that they did not go all the way. Don't go halfway. Be a habitual line stepper. That's what I need you to be if you're going to go pushing this envelope on the fucking president of the United States.
I agree with you there. To me, the idea that he's famous, so we don't need a mugshot. He's not a flight risk. He's got his own plane. I'm like, no, he needs to get. I want to see that black substance on his fingerprints, his tiny hands pressing down on the little piece of paper. I want to see him holding the little number chart. I need him to turn to the side so I can see if he's 6'1" or 6'5". I want to see all that. I need all those pictures. If you are indicted, that's what happens to me. That's what happens to you. Why is it not happening to him? I don't give a fuck if the Secret Service got to go in there and hold signs in the lineup right next to him. Take their fucking pictures too. I don't give a good goddamn. He should have gotten the full treatment. He should have been in handcuffs. He should have been all of the above. If it had happened to anybody else, if it was Joe Biden, I'd be telling you, hey, take that Botox picture of him
Get chauffeur feet
and
on in there.
yeah. If it was Hillary Clinton, I'd be saying the exact same thing. So
you see Joe falling asleep doing his booking photo. They had to take this
let me tell
motherfucker
you
6
something,
times.
man. Listen here, man.
So, Facebook user here says, I remember when he tossed toilet paper to the people in Puerto Rico. Sir, I don't know, or ma'am, I don't know who that
That's
is.
Keith.
Keith, you have knocked Roxy off the wall because that is such. That was he was out there like he was practicing shot putting. Like
He was
he was
pretending
having.
to be Oprah. You get some paper towels, and you get some paper towels.
If you want to know what it looked like for rich people to hang around poor people, that's what it looked like. Like he was just having fun. Here you go, poor people. Who needs some toilet paper or paper towel? Oh yes, Keith, you are now on the wall. Slim was what he says. What up, though? What's good, bro? What's good? Thanks for jumping in with us. Let's see. Keith Roberts Jr., another cringy moment. He's an absolute idiot. Hey, real quick,
That was Roxy.
Roxy, everyone out there, NTDTs, another way to support the show. Awesome. Go to SydneySmithCreative.com and go to the shop. Get yourself some Now That's Debatable merch, mugs, tees, hoodies, all that shit as well. So check that out too. All right, let's keep this show rocking and rolling. Larry says it's a cult. It's something, Larry. It's
There's no
something.
other way to there's no other way to describe it. It literally is a cult because I guarantee you, if it wasn't Trump and you put Hillary there, these people would have an absolute meltdown if she did any of these types of things. Like they were upset about the emails, like let alone the him having documents or taking meetings with Russian influencers to get dirt on her opponent. Like they're upset about the Steele dossier, which they should be. I don't have a problem with that. But if you're going to be mad about one thing, you got to be mad about it on the other end. If your guy is doing the dirt, you can't be like, "Oh, I don't see it. I don't see it. I can't hear you." Like to me, that is the issue that this country really needs to solve is the fact that, oh, if it's my guy, then I'm just going to give him carte blanche to do whatever he wants to do, so long as he promises to make Mexico pay for the wall and ban Muslims and keep transgenders out of swimming pools. It's like those are the types of things that don't matter in the long run, but those are the things that are most important for his campaign and for him to milk money out of these people.
Well, and I want to ask people a question. I want to ask the master debaters this because I'm interested in knowing. For some of you who do not care for Trump but have friends or family members who do you feel like there is still a gap? Even though he's not in office, do you feel like there's still a gap between yourself and that group of people or that person? Like maybe you were this close before this guy ran and got into office. But with some of the stuff that happened, you just slowly started to drift apart. And maybe you even thought once he's out of office, you guys can find your way back together and stuff will be the way it was before he came onto the political scene. I myself find that those relationships have been, I don't want to say permanently severed, but they have been really, really, maybe they have been permanently severed. But things are different between me and folks who were diehard Trump
How do
people.
you go back? How this is people always say we got to bridge the gap. You can't just cut people off. I'm like, no, you don't have dinner with Nazis. Like once you say that it's okay to be a Nazi, that's it for you. There is no peace talks. There is no bring them back into the fold. Like no, you're a Nazi. You got to stay over there in Nazi land. Like there is no coming back. I'm not going to allow you in my space in my life if that's the bullshit that you're on. And anybody
But I think,
who
but I think, but yeah, I don't mean to cut you off, but I am cutting you
go
off. I
ahead.
do want to add this. Yes, from your point of view, and maybe from people's point of view who's to the left of this line, that can be people's point of view. But it's almost as if both sides feel that way. You see what I'm saying? And I'm looking, and I'm trying to see it from both sides. Do you feel like, from your point of view and from that other person who beloved Trump's point of view, you just can never, you'll never go back. That friendship can never be the same. That's, I
But you
guess.
have to look at that the person. You have to look at the Trump point of view. It's all based in lies. All all the things that they say he is not guilty of, he is guilty of. He did do those things. It's just the fact that they say they don't care. And how do you bridge a gap between somebody who is not willing to look at objective reality? It would be one thing if it was a policy issue, but it's not a policy issue. He did the things he's been accused of. He did have a quid pro quo with Ukraine. That's the reason he got impeached. But to those people on that side, they're like, that's not a big deal. Or like, so how how can you bridge the gap? How can you forgive somebody? Forgiveness, you can't. At the end of the day, no.
Dion, I'm gonna drop you off and have you jump back on. We're losing connection with you. All right. While we're waiting for Dion, I'm gonna read Mary's post here real quick. She says, Sidney, I love you, but Dion bullies you. Have you been listening to Trump's alternate universe realities? Barry, I just want you to know that's not making the board. All right. Now I feel bullied by you, Mary. But Dion makes a great point. A lot has been said from that right side of the aisle, and I'm not saying all Republicans. I'm just saying for this conversation from the right side of the aisle, for those people, for Trump and those who push that Trump agenda, the Marjorie Taylor Greens of the world, so on and so forth. So I can see, like my wife, for instance, is a Democrat. I know she at one point stopped even wanting to talk to people about politics because it bothered her so much because of the things that were said from folks on the right. Dion's coming back with us. Let me bring him back up. Dion, you with us? You're
Yeah,
good?
sorry, I don't know what the hell happened. I just
No worries. I was just letting folks know. My wife, for instance, she got to a point where she didn't want to talk to anyone about politics. We have people that we've been friends with for a lot of years who were Trumpeteers, if you will, drove around with the Trump flag on their trucks, all of that, and she was the first one to really start to stray away from those folks. And I do feel like, excuse me, just things have been severed, and I know it's not just us. And I was just wondering how other people might have been dealing with it. Deon's coming back again. You there?
yeah, I don't know. I turned the Wi-Fi off, so we'll just go.
All
Um,
right. So I'm just trying to figure out how people. I don't know why your phone keeps trying to come back in. I'm just trying to figure out how people are dealing with the strained relationships with people coming from that other side of the aisle after everything that's all been said and done. Go ahead, Deon.
I mean, I would love to think that it would be repairable, but again, what common ground do you have with people who don't see reality objectively? It doesn't matter what side of the aisle politically you're on. If we can't both agree that the sky is blue and two plus two is four, because the person you like is all of a sudden now in charge, and they have created this whole false narrative of QAnon.
Just hang in there for a second to see if Deon Wi-Fi corrects itself. I'm kicking you off again. All right, so I get Dion's point where he was saying if the people refuse to see reality, how can you come back with that? I'm gonna scroll to the bottom and see if anybody's touched on this with us at all. Let me see here. Alex said before I would agree with you, Sidney, but now I'm kind of 50-50 on counting to get back to the way it was. Maybe it will happen, but I don't know. I don't know if the country can ever come back to the way it was, and I guess that's kind of my concern is that this is now our reality. Almost like a marriage that was going well, and at a certain point, you hit a rocky point in the relationship, and you never got the counseling, you never got the healing, you never heard the apologies, whatever it is with that marriage, and you just have separated. How do you get that back? How does this country come back together? Dion's back with us.
Hopefully, this is the last time I drop out. I don't understand what is happening, but
I was just in here relaying how I felt about the country in a way that a lot of our master debaters, I assume, can probably relate to, in terms of a marriage or relationship that you hit this rocky point in it, and you started to divide, and you never ever got the counseling, you never sat down and really talked about it, but you stayed married, whether it be for the kids or financial reasons, but you're living almost this separate lives at this point because you can never come back together. And so I was just wondering what people were going through with friends and family members, if you were dealing with that at all.
well, let me ask you this: do you think it is important to be able to come back to the table and have relationships with people who don't see objective reality?
I can't say if someone doesn't see that reality or not, because again, you and I talked about it. A lot of people vote for whoever they vote for a lot of different reasons. But I will say to you,
That doesn't deny the fact that things are happening. So even if you voted for Trump for policy reasons, that doesn't deny that he was grabbing chicks by the pussy. That doesn't deny that he, wants to make Mexico pay for the wall. Like, that's still happening. So
well,
that's
what
what I
I'm,
mean by objective reality. You can say I voted for him for policy reasons. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that whatsoever. My issue becomes when you try to come back to the table and I bring up all the things that you did not vote for him for, you don't have anything to say.
well,
So
and
how can
that
I, as a person on the other side, how how can I reconcile that with you when those things are okay for you because you got the business deal that you wanted?
I'm with, and that's what I was going to say. If I'm sitting down and I'm speaking to someone, and your reasoning for voting for him was with your pocketbook for policy, so on and so forth. Like I have a neighbor who is a Trump individual, voted for him, really, really believed in him, and I'm not someone who's going to beat anyone up, but he slowly but surely has said he has some good policies, but man, did he fuck this up, fuck that up? If he could just shut the fuck up, so on and so forth. So I do think there are people out there on their own who have slowly, and we saw it with the election. He easily did not win re-election. So I think there are people who do see the larger issue of all the wrongs that he had committed, whether it been sexually harassing women, being overly aggressive when it came to women, his language, when it came to race relations, so on and so forth. So I do believe those people do exist on both in both arenas.
Well, you about to say on both sides. I mean, if you look at the things he said about Charlottesville, there were good people on both sides. How do I, on the other side, reconcile
Yeah, yeah,
with that mindset? You
yeah.
know what I mean? Like,
I
if
agree
you
with
voted
that.
for him for the policy, you have to speak to that. And none of those people, for the most part, ever have anything that I've encountered have anything to say about those things. Well, I didn't vote for him for that. I didn't vote for him for that. Oh, I don't like that. But you're not holding him accountable. He did do it. So at the end of the day, you are responsible. You stand in line with this person. And so this is why when I say to people, if you're in that line, you are no different from that person. You might not have voted for the exact same reason, but the appearance of it is you and he or she and her are the same person because you don't differentiate yourself from them when it comes to the things that he's done. You don't say, "Well,
Right. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
strictly voted for him for policy reasons, and now, I'm not re-voting for him because of all of the rhetoric and foolishness."
Folks, sorry about the delay. If you're seeing that with Deon, concentrate on the audio. Concentrate
I
on
don't
the
know what
audio.
it is.
We're going to keep this. What's going to keep this show rocking and rolling? Let's see here. I believe this is Roxy, who says he's a morally corrupt individual that's incapable of having empathy for anyone else. He only cares about himself. Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Again, something like Dion and I were speaking about several minutes ago. He has no shame, no shame, and I think that goes along with the lack of empathy as well. I think there's some serious damage up here that he's never had resolved ever. Facebook U says Roxy Perez very self-centered, but his cult thinks he cares about them. Laugh my ass off. Facebook U says if they
That
book
was
12 year
Keith.
olds, they can book him. Absolutely. Who said that?
Roxy said that. Yeah.
Roxy, back to the wall. Back to the wall. Absolutely. I love it. In fact, I love that one so much. It's just a trifecta. Right. There's a big 12-year-old. He can get it too. Chelsea says, can't wait till they drink the Kool-Aid. Wow, geez, Chelsea, that's dark. She said that went dark. And Alan, the answer to your question is no. I have not. Not yet. Let's see here. This has been the same gap since 2016. Let's see here. Yes, absolutely. Speaking about what we were speaking on, I'm just scrolling to the comments here. There's definitely a gap. I would never look at some people the same way again. So I don't know if that's Keith or Roxy. I'm assuming it's one of them because that's normally
Michelle
my.
has a good comment.
Was
She
that Michelle
says
there?
there's a chasm between no she says there's a chasm between me and those I used to hang with.
I'll see.
Their support of him exposed their racism, biases, and stupidity to a point I can't have an intelligent conversation with them anymore.
Sounds like my wife actually, Michelle. Michelle Martin. That's who that was.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely sounds like my wife. She gets. This is one of the things that one of the discussions I have with people when they talk about, because there are people who still will not date, and I'm talking about people, I mean black people, who would not seriously date outside of their race. And one of the reasons that is given often is they do not feel like someone who's not black can empathize with what they as a black person is going through. And I feel like anyone of any race can empathize with what you're going through. That is completely different than can they understand it from a first person experience. Is completely different than empathy. You have some people, you share the same skin color and they still can't empathize with what you go through from a day-to-day situation. So I'm saying that because my wife is one of those people who has that type of empathy. And a lot of those people who are not able to carry that with them are on the other side. And they are hard to deal with. And they're especially hard for my wife to deal with, even more so than it is for me. Which is kind of a weird thing. And I don't know if Deon would agree with this or not agree with it. I don't have another black guy on the show who's been with people outside of his race to ask this question. But I find that often people outside of your race will carry a larger flag against racism at times than people who you share the same skin tone with. Have you found that as well?
I think it boils down to how much they care about you, and how much they love you, as far as wanting to protect you from the bullshit that you have to go through. And when you love somebody and you care about someone, you don't want them to have to deal with bullshit. And for me, in the past relationships that I've had, I mean, we've all, Sydney, this, having a white wife, we've all seen the stares from black people. We've all heard the whispers from black people. We've all heard it from white people. We've seen the stares from white folk. That whatever it is that people have a problem with when it comes to interracial relations, we've experienced that. The idea that you can't empathize with someone because they don't share the same skin color with you, to me, is ridiculous, because we've all been through things that we've all felt hate in one form or another.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, that's what racism boils down to, is a hatred of whatever representation that that skin color gives to you, whether it be white supremacy or black superiority. It goes. You've got black people who are like, white people are the devil, and you got white people who think black people are animals. And so to me, that hatred is the exact same. And it's ridiculous. So to say that someone wouldn't be able to empathize with that, they would. Now, I agree with you. The firsthand experience will be different. If you're not black, you won't know what it truly means to be black in this country. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that you can't empathize with the struggle. So I agree with you wholeheartedly on that.
Yeah, and black people, that's all we really ask for from people outside of our culture is for empathy. So to turn away a a person or people who are trying to display that, to me, I don't quite agree with. But to each his own. Sorry, that I got a little sidetracked with that question. I apologize.
No, I think that's a perfect segue into what we're about to talk about next.
Yeah, I want to make sure we touch on everyone here because we had some people jumping in here late. So Deon is correct. That would have been a great way for us to segue, but I want to make sure we don't leave anyone out. Mary Ballard says, I can no longer talk politics with my mother-in-law. She follows blindly. I have some people in my life who are the same way, Mary, so I understand that. Michelle, great, great, great statement. And Michelle is now on the wall. Let's see here. Damn, Dion, fix that Wi-Fi, LOL. Let's see here. Scrolling, scrolling, scrolling. Let me get to Rudy T here. He says, and Trumpers have a meritless sense of self-righteousness as if their political puppet isn't as evil. They are all corrupt, criminal oligarchs, and the more we the people continue the political division, the stronger the government grows. All right, I like that one. I like that one, Rudy. And then Alan says, Sydney, I actually agree with you on that 100%. I am the white person. I am seen as Asian, and we have two different things. I empathize with her on Asian hate, and she appreciates it. Absolutely. Facebook user says, I was raised with that racist behavior from my parents, and it took to go out into the world to figure out that's not how the world works. Gotta love everybody regardless of their skin color. Dion, who was that?
That was Keith.
Keith, damn it, you're back on the wall. I love it, man. We got some competition for this for the prize this month, or at least for tonight anyway. Keith is back on the wall with that one. Well said, Keith. Now we shall segue to our next part of our show. Thank you guys very much for watching. Please, if you have not already, click that share button. Boom! Dion, what you got, sir? Do you want to intro the next?
So, as everybody knows, on Sunday, Iowa took on LSU for the women's national championship college basketball game. And Caitlin Clark was the star of the tournament by far. She played outstanding. Unfortunately for her, her team ran into the buzzsaw that is LSU. LSU dominated the game. And at the end of the game, Angel Reese, let's just say she stunted on Caitlin Clark by showboating in her face, doing the you can't see me in her face, walking her down and pointing to the finger saying she's getting the ring. And all of Twitter and social media blew up about this, calling it classless and, just any name that you can think of. They pretty much lumped it onto Angela Reese for doing what she did. And a few days have passed and cooler heads have kind of prevailed where people have started to see that, what, maybe we shouldn't jump to conclusions. But here's the biggest issue that I have with the whole thing is Jill Biden wanting to invite the Iowa Hawkeyes to the White House, along with the LSU national championship team to the White House to celebrate sportsmanship and the women's game in general. Never in the history has the loser of the championship, whether it be college or professional, have they ever gone to the White House. They've never done that. And the fact that the second that LSU wins and Angela Reese does what she does, that Joe Biden goes, oh, we should bring Iowa to bring the country. I'm like, no, what Angel did is all fair in sport. You are allowed to trash talk if you win. If you win, you get to say and do whatever you want to do in context of if you don't like it, you should have beat me. Especially if you were the one talking when you were winning, which Caitlin Clark was talking the entire tournament. They did a whole segment on her on ESPN about her clapbacks and the things that she said to her opponents. But the scoreboard will never lie. And if you own scoreboard, you can say and do whatever you want. And the loser has to take it, whether they like it or not. So to me, this whole issue of her being classless and blah, 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 I don't want to hear that. You play to win the game. And if you win, you can celebrate however the fuck you want. If she's got issues with Caitlin Clark, if she's got issues with the Iowa team, even if she doesn't, she is allowed to showboat. She can show off. If they had a comfortable lead, it was 102 to 85. That's the end of the game. They're up. Why not celebrate?
Look, here's a couple of issues I have. Keith Overman, for people who don't know, has had a million different jobs. One of them was sitting side by side with Dan Patrick on ESPN Sports Center for many years. The gentleman who is the founder of Barstool Sports, again.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'm talking about two men who made a lot of money off of athletes and sports and seeing them how they act on the field, how they act on the court. And I'm saying that to say none of this is brand new to them. We talked about it earlier. If you grew up playing ball, you know there's certain things that come with it. Trash talking is one of them. The other is if you lose, you got to stand in that stupid line and shake hands with the person that won, which I always hated. Jill Biden, to me, put what I've already felt like was true about her husband, Joe Biden. I don't think that there is much difference from Joe Biden to a lot of people on the right side of the political aisle. And I think Jill Biden's comments put a spotlight on that for me. I'm with a lot of people out there who said had Iowa won, Jill Biden would not have said LSU should have come and been able to be at the White House. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I also agree wholeheartedly that had everything to do with skin color for Jill Biden. And it also had everything to do with Angel Reese, who had every right to do what she was doing because she's a ball player, but it being seen by people of a different shade, seeing her as a thug, as a fucking idiot, quote unquote. So I'm with Deon. I'm with a lot of people who said what they said over the last couple of days. I wanted to talk about this. I was very bothered by it. But we all know if you win, you can say whatever the fuck you want. And Caitlyn is no weeping fucking flower.
She's not a victim. Yeah, she's not a
She
victim
talked
in this
more
situation.
shit than anybody. Anybody for the entire tournament. The whole way. So she got what she had coming. And for Jill Biden to say it was what did she say? I thought the Iowa girls would come, I'm paraphrasing, because I thought it was such a good game where they put up a good fight or something like that. They got smoked.
It wasn't
Smoked.
close. It wasn't
Race
close at all.
race is right on top of this completely for me. I'm with you like a lot of other
I mean,
people. But
if you look at people on the right, whenever they're athletic people say something about politics and it's pro, they never tell those people to just shut up and dribble or just shut up and pitch. You know, when Kurt Schilling comes out in support of the president, you never hear those people say, "Hey, why don't you just go clean up that bloody sock you had and just throw the ball?" It's never. It's always they clap and they support your boys like Charlie Kirk and Clay Travis. They're
Travis, yep.
quick to parrot anybody who has something positive to say about the person on the right. But the second somebody on the left criticizes, it's like, "Oh, you should just stick to sports and you should just play basketball," or "Why are you behaving in this manner?" They never have that same energy. And I'm one of those people who I think that you should be allowed to say whatever you want to say. When you get on the court, if y'all want to talk trash, talk trash. But we all know once you step inside those lines, that field, that court, whatever arena that if you're about to start boxing, all that chirping, you better be able to back it up. Because the second that you can't, that avalanche of karma that you built up for talking all that trash is gonna come back to you one way or the other.
Yep.
I hate when people say it's classless for the person who won, who endured the trash talking, to come back and clap back and say something. To me, that is it's pathetic. You should have never opened your mouth. It would be different if Caitlin Clark never said anything. If she never chirped, if she was quiet the entire time, took her L, and she got up on that podium and was like, I never said anything to her. I don't know why she's acting that way. But she didn't do that. She was running her mouth when she was winning, and now that she lost, she has to take it, whether she likes it or not. She did come out and say that we shouldn't be criticizing this young girl, Angel Reese. I don't think we should be criticizing her either because it was
She had
just
no
a
choice.
game.
She had no choice.
Exactly.
They had no choice but to come out and say that. No choice. No choice. Let Dion, let me see here. It's only classes because she was black. 100%. 100%. I absolutely agree. I don't know who
That
said that.
that was Keith.
Keith, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely agree with that. And for Keith Olbermann to come back the following day after he put his Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that Caitlyn had been doing what she was doing. Well, you probably should have shut up. And I want people to know that Karens have penises too. So, uh, with that, let's go ahead and go to our what the hell, so we can get people off to the rest of their evening. I know y'all got to work tomorrow, but so thank you guys for jumping in here with us. We appreciate it. Deon, what is your hell? What the hell this week?
My what the hell's up with my internet, my Wi-Fi? I don't understand what is happening. Everything was ticking along very smooth and clean, and then all of a sudden it went to hell. We started lagging. I got kicked out. I came back. Got kicked out again. Came back. Turned the Wi-Fi off. I don't know what's going on. Maybe we need to get some of those Jewish space lasers to shoot my router up and
Somebody call George Soros. Get George on the phone.
yo, somebody, hook up the internet. But I am a huge. I hate lag. I hate scratch DVD. You remember back in the day when you would have a CD and it would get to the good part and then it would just dip. It's like, nothing irritates me more than a scratch CD or a lag, or I'm watching a show and the streaming starts buffering. So my what the hell is, forget the vaccine for COVID. Forget curing cancer. I want to get rid of lagging. Get rid of lagging, and then we can tackle all the world problems.
Somebody, somebody just jumped in here. Well, fake ass book club. The ladies there says it's the reason sports were segregated for so long in the USA. They can't stand to see black people winning. Fake ass book club ladies, thank you guys for jumping in with your comment. We got to have you guys back on again soon. So the four of us got to see if we can make that happen. Facebook user, I bet this is Keith, says R.I.P. to Deion Curry's Wi-Fi. I love it. I love it. All right. My what the hell this week before we get out of here is, when did we start accepting that we can mix ass and titties with children on IG Reels? When did we start accepting this? Why are these women with their ass and titties hanging out? Why are there children in the videos? How is this appropriate? Why is child protective services not being called? This ain't cool. You can't be twerking and got your baby girl twerking next to you. You can't be twerking and have your baby walking past the screen looking at you like my mama's a real hoe. When did this become okay? This is why we have a problem in this country. This is why everyone needs to be given a test before we allow you to vote or do a lot of things that I rely on in this country. Because you think it's okay to be up here with your ass cheeks hanging out, clapping and holding the baby, or got the baby sitting on the couch watching you do this. No, that is wrong, ma'am. Wrong. Ma'am, if you would, put a scarf on your head, put on a house coat, get some house shoes on, and make that baby some cereal. I need you, mother, to look like my mother. Get your shit together. All right, that's been Not As Debatable this week.
I think you stay up too late. If you get into the reel with the kid and the booty cheeks, you need to go to bed, sir.
First of all, I don't know why you think reels work off the time of day. They do not. It's completely random.
I have
It ain't
never
Cinemax.
seen.
Somehow I'm up too late. It ain't Cinemax. You see, someone says, Baha, it's not okay. The bigger problem is that it's working. If it didn't work, they wouldn't do it. They twerking and knocking their little ass kids over. LO. See, I'm not the only one that sees it. Not the only one that sees it. It's wrong. It's wrong. Deon, my brother, I love you, man. Another good show. Hey, Master Debaters, thank you guys for jumping in with us. Another good show. For those of you who are already Patreon members, Deon and I will be recording our bonus episode this weekend, so to keep an eye out for that. For those of you who are part of the tier, we'll be scheduling the Q&A sit down with you guys as well. So keep look on your messenger for that. That'll be coming your way too. For those of you who are not part of Patreon yet, we'd love for you to be a part of it for this weekend's bonuses. Just go to patreon.com/Sidney Smith Creative. Thank you guys very much. Everyone out there, have yourselves a great week. Deon, what you got?
Make sure you tell them creative with the spell it correctly, right?
Correct. Creative, CRE, the number 8, TIV. Love to see you become a patron. Until next week, folks, thank you guys very much. Have yourselves a good
Thank you
week.
guys.
Thank you.